After becoming the district agent, I was eager to share this good news with Liu Jing. When I arrived at his doorstep, the unclosed door allowed the clear conversation between Liu Jing and his stepsister to be heard. "Brother, do you really like Lin Shi? Don't misunderstand, I just see her as..." The careless male voice reached me, but it hit my heart heavily. I lost the courage to push the door and go in for a moment. "Jinggu, you really don't feel anything, that Lin Shi is actually a rich woman, she has deep feelings for you." Liu Jing snorted disdainfully, his voice full of sarcasm. "What a joke, even if she's rich now, it doesn't change the fact that she's just a college graduate. What can we discuss with an average undergraduate when we have a master's degree? And what else does she have besides that face of hers?" The laughter and jeers from around me made me unable to move. I can't deny that I'm just an undergraduate. Liu Jing is not like me, he is a legend. He is the student who gives teachers the most headaches, yet this does not prevent the fact that he gets the top rank every year. I ran like mad, but could barely keep up with him. Taking care of my grandmother has diverted my energy, my grades have plummeted, and the distance between us has grown ever wider. I didn't expect that after graduating from high school, he confessed to me. Even though I just went to a regular university, and we had become people from different circles, he still chose to be with me. The young moonlight confessed to me, how could I not be moved? As long as I still have the will to learn, I can take the postgraduate entrance examination and try to get into Tsinghua University. The tuition fees for graduate studies are too expensive, and although there are scholarships available, my friend and I cannot even afford the tuition fees, so how could we possibly have the opportunity to receive a scholarship? I chose to join the company. That was my most difficult time, the heavy workload and the pressure of my father's lack of care and my mother's disdain for my living expenses were entirely on my shoulders. I gritted my teeth and climbed up, taking on the living expenses of both of us. I gritted my teeth and tried to calm myself down as much as possible. The topic of their discussion in the room had already changed. It has become obscure and difficult professional terminology, and occasionally the voices of girls joking and chatting can be heard. Just as I was about to turn and leave, someone suddenly opened the door. Exclaimed a female voice, "Eh? Lin, why are you here?" I entered the room at the gracious invitation of Yvonne Su. She naturally walked over to Liu Jing's side and sat down closely next to him, as if claiming her territory. My appearance broke the lively atmosphere just now, and the atmosphere was also momentarily embarrassing. Liu Jing slightly furrowed his brow. "When did you get here?" I chuckled lightly and calmly said, "I've just arrived and you've already invited me in." I have been immersed in the workplace for many years and can control my emotions perfectly, so much so that Liu Jing heaved a sigh of relief. "I'm not pleased to see you dressed like this when all my friends are here today." I looked down at my outfit. My professional attire seemed somewhat out of place among this group of vibrant young people. Comparing Yvonne Su, who looks like a high school student, the difference is quite obvious. She is more eye-catching. I put down the cake in my hand and was about to leave. "I just came back from a meeting and was worried that I would not have time to change clothes for your birthday party, so I brought the cake directly." A single sentence instantly froze Liu Jing's face. He smiled shyly and said awkwardly, "Lin Shi, we've been waiting for you. We're about to have dinner soon." I glanced at the table full of snacks and the various ingredients in the kitchen, and I don't know what to feel. "I'll wait for you to come back so we can have dinner. I haven't even touched these ingredients, so it's clear that I should be the one to cook the meal, isn't it?" I did not speak. Yvonne Su looked at me with an innocent expression. "Lin Shi, I'm afraid we've troubled you with our lunch today as none of us can cook." The crowd began to cheer along with Yvonne Su's words. "I have heard that your sister-in-law is an excellent cook, and this time we will be able to enjoy a delightful meal." "Yeah, that's right. Previously, Brother Jing was always boasting about it, so this time we really must give it a try." "You're just in time, sister-in-law. I'm sorry to trouble you." I looked at my right hand, which was wrapped in a bandage. Prolonged office work has given me tendinitis, and I've been busy working on a proposal every day lately, which has caused my tendinitis to flare up again. The people, seeing that I did not speak, followed my gaze and looked over. Suddenly, everyone fell silent. They looked at each other blankly, with a touch of embarrassment on their faces. Xiao Yinjian with foresight had already got up. "Brother Jing, let's eat outside, it's not good for your sister-in-law to cook for so many of us." I stared intently at Liu Jing in front of me, his brow furrowed, his expression tinged with displeasure. Lin Shi, I had boasted in front of my friends that my girlfriend's cooking is really delicious, and I can't back down now. He came up to me, his gaze clearly threatening. I smiled and raised my right hand. Sorry Liu Jing, my hand is really inconvenient to use. Why don't we let Yvonne Su do it instead? Wasn't it said that Yvonne Su has been cooking at home since she was little? I'm not picky, as long as it's edible, I don't care how good or bad it tastes. The people all spoke up, saying that it doesn't matter whether it's delicious or not. Liu Jing's face looked somewhat unwell. He glared at the crowd jeering and motioned for them to stop their ruckus. I take in all of this, and a faint smile creeps up the corners of my mouth. She looked at Yvonne Su with a faint smile, waiting to see how she would end up. Yvonne Su bit her lower lip, with tears in her eyes, looking aggrieved. If Lin Shi doesn't want to do it, I'll do it. He went straight to the kitchen, picked up a kitchen knife, and started cutting the vegetables. Liu Jing's face darkened, his gaze towards me carrying a sense of condemnation. It looks like you are rebuking me for my lack of restraint. At the next moment, a cry of surprise came from the kitchen. Liu Jing's expression suddenly changed, and he pushed me away hastily and ran into the kitchen. I wasn't paying attention, and the person crashed and fell on the sofa. The searing pain in my right wrist caused me to cry out in agony. The people were a bit embarrassed, hurriedly came over to help me. Sister-in-law, are you all right? I was sweating slightly on my forehead, and spoke in a deep voice. Yvonne Su and Liu Jing hurriedly came out of the kitchen before Yvonne Su could finish speaking. You all wait here, I'll take Yvonne Su to the hospital. Why are you trying to act tough? Do you really have to hurt yourself? I've already said it, as long as I'm here, you don't have to do any work. Have you not taken my words seriously? Liu Jing's tone was rather forceful, but the concern in his words was unmistakable. I'm curious what kind of injury would be worth a trip to the hospital. Liu Jing was holding Yvonne Su's hand, and there was blood on her index finger, but no visible wound. Yes, you should go to the hospital right away. If you wait too long the wound will heal. I looked at the two people with a half smile, picked up my bag, and followed them. I will go with you. Liu Jing glared at me, as if blaming me. Ridiculous, how can this be blamed on me? Hospital. The doctor looked at the two people with a dark expression on his face. You young people really make a big fuss over nothing. Is this little injury worth coming to cut in line? All right, let the nurse apply some iodine and let's get going. Yvonne Su looks pitiful and aggrieved. Liu Jing looked worried and anxious. Doctor, don't we need to give a tetanus shot? What should I do if I get infected? The doctor had a blank expression, as if looking at an idiot. I'm not the one to say this, but the skin was not originally broken, it was just forcefully squeezed out blood. You really know how to have fun. If you are really worried, I'll give you a list and you can go get a tetanus shot. The doctor prepared to write a prescription for no apparent reason, and Liu Jing solemnly nodded in agreement. It's hard to put into words. After the two left, I turned to look at the doctor. Doctor, I had tendinitis in my hand before, and I just accidentally twisted it again. I don't know if there's anything wrong. The doctor examined him for a while and then wrote out a prescription with a serious expression. Go and take a picture, confirm it. I nodded in agreement and left with the order slip. During the wait for the results, Liu Jing finally noticed that I had disappeared and called me on the phone. Why are you running around everywhere? I was slightly taken aback, and then said, I'm waiting for the film to be developed, you can come and find me. The person across from me is a bit irritable, but they still came with Yvonne Su. Yvonne Su had her arm linked with Liu Jing's, the two of them walking together like statues. I lowered my gaze to conceal the emotions in my eyes. What's the big deal? I just bumped you a little. How about making a movie? Liu Jing complained. I walked up to the self-service printer on my own and printed out the results. Dislocation of the joints. Clearly, Liu Jing also saw it, and for a moment he didn't know how to start. Sorry. After a long time, he finally opened his mouth and spoke in a stammering manner. I ignored the two people beside me and went back on my own. A month of no contact usually means goodbye. Exactly on the 30th day, Liu Jing's call came. Lin Shi, shall we go on a date tomorrow? Who? Disappeared for 30 days. How dare you say you're on a date? This period I have not given him a way out, which has made him a little anxious, but the one who has always been high and mighty, this time he cannot bring himself to back down, and this is why he made this phone call. The person across from me paused for a moment, and I took the opportunity to hang up the phone. That Liu Jing over there is a ferocious beast, one not to be trifled with. Lin Shi, the company is planning to hire 2 interns recently, both are graduate students from Tsinghua University. Can you help mentor them? The boss handed me the information of 2 people, bringing me back to my senses from the previous phone call. I was just about to refuse, but then I saw a familiar name on the resume. Enmity leads to a narrow path. These 2 people are Yvonne Su and Liu Jing. TSK, I forgot, those 2 should be doing their internships this year. Boss, let these 2 go. I haven't finished speaking, but the boss quickly handed the resume to me. All right, it's been decided. I'll only feel at ease when I leave the talent to you. A silhouette like the wind. I was at a loss for words for a moment, but as I looked at the resume in my hand, I felt like it was a hot potato. After work, as soon as I left the office, I saw Liu Jing standing at the company's entrance. Compared to his previous student-like demeanor, Liu Jing now appears to be more of a social elite. Dressed in a suit and tie, he had lost his youthful appearance, but the stiff hair that was gelled made him look somewhat uncomfortable. Lin Shi, I'm going to do an internship at your company too. Let's go out and celebrate today. I looked Liu Jing up and down. At this moment, his brows and eyes were full of tension, and after so many years of being with him, I am fully aware of his little habits. He wants to open this machine of mine. I nodded with a slight smile, curious to see what he would do. Okay. Couples restaurant. When I and Liu Jing walked into this restaurant, I frowned slightly, feeling a little uncomfortable. We haven't gone out on a date for a long time. Lin Shi, this is the restaurant I've had planned for a while, and I'll be paying the bill today. Liu Jing spoke with a proud expression on his face. The surprise on my face was almost uncontainable. The Iron Rooster, who was tight-fisted, was actually willing to spend money at such a restaurant. I looked at him with a smile that was not quite a smile, and laughed softly. Okay, then let's celebrate your successful entry into the group. Soon, guided by the waiter, we arrived at a booth. What are you doing here? I looked at Yvonne Su, who jumped on Liu Jing as soon as she saw him, and couldn't help but raise my eyebrows. At the same time, the gaze fell on Liu Jing. Liu Jing's gaze was frank, but his words were unusually solemn. This is a celebratory banquet, after all. Yvonne Su and I have successfully joined the group, and that's something worth celebrating. Moreover, the couple's meal set at the restaurant is so expensive, and the cost-performance ratio is too low. Yvonne Su coming over can just help eat some of the unfinished food. My pupils dilate. Couple's restaurant, it has always been a 2-person table, but now because of Yvonne Su's appearance, they have forcefully added a chair to make it a 3-person table. We became the focus of the entire restaurant. The other 2 individuals who were the main protagonists of the incident were oblivious to any problem. No matter how much packaging, those who are not destined for the limelight can never make it to the stage. Sir, please settle the bill. The total is 5,002. The appearance of the waiter instantly broke the current tranquility. Hearing the price, Liu Jing immediately exploded. No, isn't your 2-person set meal 600? Why has it suddenly gone up so much? Liu Jing suddenly stood up, his eyes wide open, and his voice did not hold back. All eyes were on him. The server smiled slightly, looking at Yvonne Su beside her, and patiently explained that the young lady had already ordered a deluxe single-set meal before they arrived, priced at 1,200. I looked at Yvonne Su with a faint smile. Yvonne Su's face turned red, and she seemed a bit uneasy. Yvonne Su took a long time to open her mouth hesitantly. Brother, Sister Lin Shi, you are really too late. I was hungry and had already ordered one. Liu Jing gritted his teeth and tried to calm himself down as much as possible. Use your card. I can hear that Liu Jing's teeth are almost grinding when he's speaking. The people around us were all looking at us, as if we were all entertainment. Yvonne Su and Liu Jing seemed a bit embarrassed, and Yvonne Su was silent for a moment before speaking up. Lin Shi, today's celebration party, we are the protagonists. Is it not quite appropriate for you to appear here? Seeing Liu Jing next to me, who looked like an ostrich, I really couldn't hold back anymore. Sister, this is a couple's restaurant. If I'm not coming here with my girlfriend, am I supposed to come here with you? Liu Jing hurried over to interrupt, only wanting to be a mediator. All eyes on Yvonne Su seemed a bit strange, as if she were ungrateful. Yvonne Su's face turned red. It was because she was angry. Now, she has no say. We went to the mall. Liu Jing and Yvonne Su are the same when it comes to choosing clothes. They don't hold back at all. Of course, it's what's expensive that comes. I rolled my eyes at the nearly 60,000 yuan worth of clothes on the counter. Without having a job yet, to buy such expensive clothes just for the sake of a job is merely the result of vanity. I kindly remind you, this clothing is too expensive, isn't it? After all, you don't have a job yet. Liu Jing's expression changed, and his gaze towards me carried some dissatisfaction, but he quickly concealed it. However, Lin Shi, the group is a large company, and if we dress too shabbily, we may be bullied. I didn't end up saying anything. Hello, who will be paying? The sales clerk's words fell, and I pretended to take a phone call, without responding. The atmosphere became awkward in an instant. I will be delayed in returning for the time being. I have sent a message to Liu Jing. What will happen to Liu Jing and Yvonne Su at the mall is no longer my concern. The next morning at dawn, Yvonne Su and Liu Jing came to the group. Lin Shi. Liu Jing came in and found me first, questioning me. Why did you leave in such a hurry yesterday? Do you know us? Liu Jing suddenly stopped in the middle of his speech, looking as if he wanted to say something but couldn't. He was utterly frustrated. I lowered my eyes, clenched my lips, and said pitifully, Liu Jing, I'm sorry, but a client urgently needed to see me yesterday. If I didn't come, I was afraid I might lose my job. Outwardly pitiful, but inwardly wildly laughing. What client? I don't want to be the sucker, leaving them to buy myself a bag. Isn't that nice? The distressed look on his face, in Liu Jing's view, is actually me truly yielding, and it is also rare for him to be embarrassed. Forget it, let's not talk about the past, but this clothes. I let the matter rest after I hit a snag and abruptly changed the subject. From today on, you two will learn from me, but there's one thing, I don't have much patience, so it's best if you can keep up with my pace, or else you may easily be kicked out. The two people's expressions changed, and they certainly didn't care about anything else. TSK, if it falls into my hands, how can I have a peaceful day? The task is about to be assigned. The two people were busy all day long. When it was time to leave the office, I passed by the pantry and heard two people talking. Brother, are you just going to watch her bully us? How can you put up with such a harridan? If it were not for her abandoning us there, how could we have been so humiliated? Brother, if you let her ride on top of you, you won't have good days ahead. Yvonne Su's voice was full of displeasure at the moment. In contrast, Liu Jing on the side did not speak. He hesitated for a moment. Yvonne Su, it seems that Lin Shi is avoiding me. It is difficult for me to handle her. I'll wait and see. I'll check the situation first. Yvonne Su was dissatisfied, but did not say anything further. But as soon as the two of them went out the door, they ran into me. I was startled for a moment, and appeared to be unusually guilty. When did you come? I opened my mouth with a smile. I just arrived. Could it be that you two have been talking bad about me? The two of them shook their heads repeatedly and hurriedly dodged and left. Yvonne Su could no longer endure the repeated setbacks. She found Liu Jing. Brother, if we let her do this, won't she be unable to participate in any projects? It will be difficult to say whether she can be promoted or not. Liu Jing also had this concern at the moment. He hesitated for a long time, gritting his teeth. I'll go find her for an opportunity to participate in the project. Under the decision of the two people, Liu Jing found me. I heard their demands, but I'm really at a loss. It is not my intention to make things difficult for these two people. These two people claim to be graduate students from Tsinghua University, believing that they know everything, but in reality, they have no practical skills. Must I participate? Attendance is mandatory for confirmation. Liu Jing's attitude was exceptionally resolute, without any room for negotiation. I thought it over briefly and agreed. Good words are hard to persuade the damned ghost, since they want to know their own shallowness and ignorance. Let them see how weak they really are. Tomorrow, you will follow me. Yvonne Su, who was eavesdropping nearby, also breathed a sigh of relief. The next day, as I was working with him, we ran into trouble right at the beginning. The two were particularly anxious, and their work was full of mistakes. I really haven't trained such a novice before, and couldn't help but scold them. Can you do it? If you don't understand even the basic terms, but insist on getting involved in the project at such an early stage, that's overly arrogant. If you can't do the job, then leave. The group won't keep useless people. This was the first time I spoke harsh words in front of the two of them, and it made them look very uneasy. Mr. West, we will definitely work hard to keep up with the progress. I rubbed my brow, looked at the two people with a slight headache, and waved my hand to have them leave. Outside, Liu Jing's soothing voice could be heard, without any attempt to conceal it. The colleagues around them glanced at the two people as they passed by, with an expression of wanting to say something but hesitating. I took in everything before my eyes, and a faint smile rose on the corners of my mouth. If I could make them better off, then all my hard work would have been in vain. The project is progressing smoothly, but Liu Jing and Yvonne Su have not contributed anything. There had long been considerable objections to the two of them among the crowd. Yvonne Su, as the representative, summarized the project but completely erased the merits of the group. Everyone was stunned this time. President Shi, this is not right. The plan was something we worked on together. Yvonne Su and Liu Jing did nothing, yet they take all the credit. How can this be? I also participated in the project, so I naturally know these things. Hearing the complaints of the crowd, I could only stare firmly at Yvonne Su. Yvonne Su is red-eyed and looks humiliated at the moment. Mr. Shi, this plan was created by the two of us, and what does it have to do with these people? Liu Jing looked at me, his gaze brimming with a sense of determination. It seems he was quite confident that I would be on his side. Oh, are you saying that no one else was involved in this plan? I spoke calmly and indifferently. Yvonne Su and Liu Jing have never worked with me, so they naturally do not know that my current calmness is for the sake of subsequent attacks. The two were exceptionally resolute, without the slightest trace of hesitation. My phone rang at this moment, and when I opened it, I saw a message from Liu Jing. Threatened to use our relationship to cover up this matter. I laughed. I'm not a sycophant who would give up fairness for them. Where do these data come from? I looked at the crowd and waited for their response. This plan contains some data that I have verified, and I am also clear about the source of the specific data. However, my words may not convince Yvonne Su, so it's better to let her figure it out by herself. Yvonne Su stammered, unable to speak for a while. Just a quick glance at the plan, how could you know? She remained silent for a long time, her gaze becoming more anxious. Liu Jing, who was standing beside, wanted to step forward and mediate, but found that he was also at a loss for words. You two are having an office romance in this kind of place, and now you even want to monopolize the credit. When has our group ever had such unscrupulous practices? Get out quickly! These two people are really not getting along with our group. Yvonne Su and Liu Jing were the focus of everyone's attention for a moment. Under the repeated requests of the crowd, I complied with the decision of the crowd and dismissed him. Yvonne Su got completely crazy, and she glared at me angrily before leaving. We came out of the conference room and ran into Yvonne Su hurrying out of my office. Yvonne Su, what are you doing in my office? I became somber and asked coldly. Yvonne Su's expression changed, and she said solemnly, Lin Shi, Lin Shi. I misjudged you. You are actually such a small-minded person. We have never hindered you in the group, but you still want to drive us out and destroy us? I have never seen someone like you before. From now on, let's pretend we've never met. Liu Jing rushed over, shielding Yvonne Su behind him and shouting at me. I laughed lightly, my gaze devoid of warmth. All right. Yvonne Su sighed in relief. I had someone chase Yvonne Su and Liu Jing out. After the two people left, the air in the company became fresh. Just 3 days later, a crucial bidding, the rival company seemed to know our bidding amount, and they won the bid with an advantage of $1 higher than us. The deputy director's face immediately turned dark. I became the main suspect. Lin Shi, you have been with the group for so long, we should not have treated you badly, right? Why should we help the group? I looked at the vice president perplexed, wanting to defend myself. The boss seemed very disappointed at the moment, and without letting me explain, he suspended me from my duties. I clenched my fists, suddenly remembering the situation on the day Yvonne Su resigned. I brought the surveillance footage back to the office and reviewed it. I frame by frame inspect, finally see that Yvonne Su copied the image from my computer. But soon, I was driven out of the group, and I could no longer access my computer. I clenched my fists, and a cold glint flashed in my eyes. I immediately went to Liu Jing's house. Yvonne Su was lying disheveled next to Liu Jing. Liu Jing's expression changed, but Yvonne Su next to him just smiled and said, "Sister Linshi, why are you coming over here?" I calmly looked at the two people and asked in a deep voice, "Was it you who stole the bid?" Yvonne Su smiled slightly, completely unguarded, and spoke proudly, "Sister Linshi, you can't blame us. You didn't act righteously yourself, I'm just giving you a little lesson. This bidding document was disclosed by me to the group, but you don't have any evidence, do you?" My face was gloomy, but my heart was overjoyed. This guy is a bit too stupid. I secretly squeezed the recorder hidden in my pocket. The accusatory gaze fell upon Liu Jing. "Liu Jing, we've been together for years, was it all fake? How could you do this to me?" Liu Jing felt a moment of discomfort, slightly tugging the corner of his mouth. "Linshi, you are heartless and unscrupulous, so don't blame others." Under their relentless accusations, I finally couldn't take it anymore and ran away crying. This moment made the two people instantly refreshed. Of course, I also felt relieved. With these evidences, still afraid these two people will get away with it? I have compiled all the evidence and handed over the items to the group. I have regained my identity and sued Yvonne Su in the capacity of the regional general manager. Yvonne Su wanted to refute, but the evidence was staring her in the face. She turned pale, and looked to Liu Jing for help. I did not pay attention to the subtle gestures between the two people. Live each day as it comes. However, some people cannot settle down. Yvonne Su and Liu Jing were at their wits' end. They only wanted to shift the blame to someone else. One day after work, I was caught off guard and had a wet handkerchief pressed over my mouth and nose. He suddenly fainted. When I woke up, I saw a few thugs waiting in the room. "Nisi, we're not bad people either. As long as you withdraw the prosecution against Yvonne Su, we'll let you go. Then don't blame us for being heartless and unscrupulous." A blonde-haired person had a smile on the corner of their mouth, which made people feel a bit uncomfortable. I furrowed my brow, and did not speak, but suddenly I recalled that I was on the phone with my boss at the time. I resist them with silence. However, the patience of these gangsters was limited, and in the next moment, they directly charged at me. I suddenly widened my eyes, as these people were all taking off their clothes, and at the same time setting up the cameras, just to record this historic moment. Let's talk about it later. Rao is a strong-willed woman, but even she is having difficulty controlling her emotions at the moment. However, at that moment, there was a bang. The door was pushed open, and everyone's attention was drawn to it. "Help!" I looked at the newcomer and couldn't help but let my tears fall. The man rushed over in an instant, and the people behind him subdued the hoodlums in the room. The next moment, I fell into a warm embrace. I gently raised the corners of my mouth. "Boss, thank you for coming." My tears uncontrollably flowed down. The man in front of him suddenly had a cold expression on his face. "Linshi, don't say anything first, let me deal with these people first." The next moment, the man rushed to the side of the thugs, without regard for the people present at the time, and began to furiously beat them one by one. I was still in shock when I arrived at the police station. With the help of the boss, Yvonne Su was arrested. Liu Jing, who had heard the news, stopped me. At this moment, he seemed a bit dispirited. "Linshi, can you please let Yvonne Su go? She is just a child." I really couldn't help it, and I couldn't help but retort, "Have you forgotten that your stepsister is only a year younger than you and the same age as me? This child is really young." Suddenly, Liu Jing froze, his expression becoming somewhat distressed, his lips quivering, unable to speak for a long time. "Linshi, this is a conflict within our own family. Can we resolve it ourselves by closing the door? I am your boyfriend." I was horrified and moved closer to my boss beside me. "No. My boyfriend is here. Don't mess with me." The boss standing beside me had a smile on his lips, and he naturally put his arm around my waist, his eyes full of satisfaction. I was taken aback, and a sense of unease passed through my heart. Liu Jing's face changed instantly. Just as I was about to speak, I was interrupted by a sudden woman. Pop. I was caught off guard and received a slap. His expression changed, looking at the woman in front of him with a gloomy gaze. Liu Jing held the woman back, not allowing her to get too close to me. Aunt, what are you doing? That woman is crazy. The coldness in her eyes cannot be hidden. Liu Jing, is this the girlfriend you found? A girlfriend who is intent on sending your sister to jail? The boss stood in front of me, glaring angrily at the woman. Where did this crazy woman come from? I am Eve Xiao, Lin Shi's boyfriend. Don't talk nonsense. The woman's face changed instantly as soon as these words were uttered. I took a step forward, pulled the boss aside, and looked directly at the woman. Aunt, you still don't know who your son's girlfriend is? Isn't Liu Jing's girlfriend your daughter Yvonne Su? Why did you wrong me? It seemed that the woman learned about this for the first time, frozen in place, her eyes full of disbelief. The focus ultimately fell on Liu Jing. Is what she said true? Liu Jing hurriedly defended himself, but before the scene became chaotic, I found a few photos in my handbag and handed them to the woman. The woman's face suddenly became rigid, and she slapped Liu Jing's face. So it was you, Liu Jing, who harmed Yvonne Su. If you cannot let Yvonne Su come out safely, don't blame me for making your life difficult. She turned and left decisively. Liu Jing looked at me with a haggard and complex expression. He clenched his fist and left as well. The days have become much quieter, but I now have a leech following me around. The boss occasionally appears in front of me to assert his presence. Did Lin Shi agree to be my girlfriend today? I couldn't help but facepalm at the appearance of the daily question. Who would have thought that the boss who is so serious on the surface is actually so childish behind closed doors? At last, the day before the verdict, everything took an unexpected turn. Liu Jing stopped me. At this moment, Liu Jing did not look like his usual composed self, but was instead in a state of utter disarray. Unkempt, with messy and disheveled hair, the whole person looked listless and dejected, and even the clothes that had always been neatly pressed were now full of wrinkles. I looked at the person in front of me with displeasure, not knowing the purpose of his appearance. Lin Shi, can you release Yvonne Su? If you let her go, we will never appear before you again. Liu Jing was humble to the extreme. He had never spoken in such a servile and humble manner, which made him appear unusually degraded. I sighed softly. The country has its laws, the family has its rules, don't come bother me. Liu Jing suddenly knelt down in front of me. I hastily avoided him, unable to accept his grand gesture. The boss suddenly appeared before me, quickly helping the person up, saying don't kneel, this is too much of a strain on your life. Even if you apologize, you don't have to kneel. The law is enough punishment. The next moment, I saw Liu Jing, who usually cares about his image, burst into tears. He cried as if he was very sad, but I couldn't help but want to laugh. That Aunt Sue is no pushover, and it's likely that after Yvonne Su goes in, that crazy old woman will torment Liu Jing in every possible way. As expected, Liu Jing lamented his plight, saying that the auntie did not like him in the first place, and now Yvonne Su has taken control of his money because of him going to prison. Save me, save Yvonne Su. He rambled on, but I extracted the key information from it. Yvonne Su is pregnant. I was somewhat surprised, but Aunt Sue did not know. Before long, Liu Jing had cried himself out, and the boss directly threw him out. I have not spoken for a long time. The boss standing next to me tried various ways to make me happy, but I didn't notice. Lin Shi, why are you doing this? He already has children, why can't you let him go? The boss seems a bit dispirited. These days, the boss has been like a little sun, but now the sun has set. I was at a loss for words when I heard his words. I was thinking, if she were pregnant, would she be released on bail? Or is she looking to do something under the guise of being a pregnant woman? My words made the boss pause for a moment, but he quickly recovered. So you don't have any other thoughts about him? I nodded helplessly. The excited boss hugged me and spun around in a circle, unable to control his joy. I'm feeling very dizzy. Don't spin anymore. If I keep spinning, I won't have a girlfriend anymore. The boss was stunned for a moment, extremely happy, and announced that the company would have a day off that very day. Liu Jing and Yvonne Su have indeed proposed to seek bail during pregnancy. To verify the authenticity, we accompanied her to the hospital for Yvonne Su's diagnosis. Yvonne Su experienced severe morning sickness, and she was firmly convinced that she was pregnant. I always feel that there is something fishy going on, but I haven't brought it up. When the result came out, Yvonne Su was stunned by the diagnosis of not being pregnant. Impossible. That's impossible. My morning sickness is so severe, how could I not be pregnant? The doctor became a bit impatient with Yvonne Su, and could not help but speak up. It seems that you are too obsessed with being pregnant, which has led to a false pregnancy with symptoms similar to pregnancy. Yvonne Su is foolish. He has been shouting impossible in his mouth, and his mental state seems a bit abnormal. I couldn't help but suppress the involuntary twitching of the corners of my mouth as I watched the scene. This guy wanted to get pregnant, but it didn't work out, so he really drove himself crazy? I closely follow Yvonne Su's updates. One day, the boss brought me the news that Yvonne Su really had mental problems, and it was obviously not very likely that she would be admitted. I am not worried at all. Someone will make amends for Yvonne Su. As expected, Yvonne Su came out. However, Aunt Su became attached to Liu Jing. After all, Yvonne Su is truly crazy at the moment, and is struggling to take care of herself. Aunt Su is not the type of person who is willing to take care of others, so she naturally dragged Liu Jing over. Liu Jing endures the scolding from Aunt Su and the unpredictable madness of Yvonne Su every day. The enormous debt burden from leaking trade secrets was simply too much for Liu Jing to bear. One evening, I suddenly received a mysterious text message. I'm sorry, Lin Shi. The number seems familiar, but I don't want to look into it. Put away your phone and get ready for bed. The boss saw the text messages on my phone, pursing his lips with a look of distress. I'm so upset I could cry. I couldn't help but laugh when I saw Eve Xiao like that. This text message should be Liu Jing's, but I don't have any connection with him, as you know. Eve Xiao pressed me down underneath him. I believe Lin Shi, but jealousy is inevitable, and I have to let it out somehow. I couldn't help but roll my eyes, but Eve Xiao didn't give me much time to think, and he temporarily made me forget all the troubles. When I woke up the next day, I was surprised to see the diamond ring on my hand. Lin Shi, marry me. When I came to, Eve Xiao was kneeling in front of me with a breakfast tray. I was at a loss for words, and in his expectant gaze, I nodded. Good. Eve Xiao hurriedly handed over the household registration book to me. After finishing breakfast, I appeared at the Civil Affairs Bureau at the fastest speed. In the coming days, we will be preparing for the wedding. On the day before the wedding, Liu Jing and Yvonne Su, mother and daughter, made the news. A man surnamed Jing, dissatisfied with the oppression of his stepmother and stepsister, killed them both, and ultimately jumped to his death. When I see the news, I only feel a bit of melancholy, but I don't have any particularly strong reaction. Liu Jing's stress tolerance was already poor. Under high pressure, it is indeed not easy for him to persevere until now. Don't look at him, our wedding is tomorrow. I am the main character. Eve Xiao looked up from what he was doing, meeting my gaze. I couldn't help but smile. She pulled Eve Xiao's head towards her and kissed him. You are the protagonist, and also my beloved. I laughed. Freed from the money-devouring beast that treated me like a machine, my life will only become more brilliant and smooth. Honey, I've handed over my salary card, so you can't not give me money for daily expenses. Okay, I understand.